Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 30 of Nutanix Weekly. I'm your host, Andy Whiteside, and if you can see my camera, I am literally sitting out in the woods at a picnic table doing a podcast, which, modern day technology, connectivity, record to the cloud. I've got Harvey Green with me. Harvey, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you?
As I said that, the internet gods were watching me, and it comes pop up in the Zoom and says, your internet connection is unstable. It's like, well, that's why Harvey officially will be handling the technical piece of this. And if I just disappear in midair somewhere along the way, they'll just keep rolling without me. Jirah Green. Wow, check that out.
My brother from another mother.
Made you two together.
With our powers combined, we are
Jirah Green and Harvey Cox. There we go.
Captain HCI, I think, something like that.
Okay. All right, which one's Batman and which one's Robin? I want to know. It's just the modern day version of Wonder Twin powers.
Yeah, we trade based on the day.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I listen to you guys every once in a while when I'm not able to join, and it is it goes off without me. It makes me feel like I'm less needed, but I'm happy to be living in a world where you two guys are awesome and can do it.
That's every CEO's job, right? Work yourself out of a job.
Yeah. I tell Harvey and team all the time, I just want to go take customers fishing and kiteboarding and snowboarding and out to dinner.
Yeah, we got to keep you honest.
and then reality kicks back. And Jirah Cox is with us, and Jirah is our superstar, all things Nutanix. Don't need no stinking author on the call with us. We got Jirah. How's it going?
Hey guys, I'll agree with some of that at least for sure. Glad to be on here with you guys.
So that's your new title. Don't need no stinking author on the podcast with us.
I'm gonna need longer cards.
No, the truth of it is we'd love to have the authors on. I just I'm too slack to get them all lined up, and it's hard. And we got Jirah, and so far so good. He's been able to really cover the topics in an amazing amount of detail. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So last week we did a podcast on a lot of the announcements from .next, Nutanix.next, and one of the things that came out of that, and often does in a lot of our conversations, is taking a test drive, and Nutanix continues to evolve their version of getting people with hands-on, at least virtually hands-on with the solutions. And I mean all the solutions. I'm always impressed. I will take a moment to do a quick XenTegra plug. I bit the bullet, 5 years ago and bought a block, and I'm surprised we haven't bought another one now, but a block that includes 4 nodes, and myself or Harvey will come on site and we'll do a workshop with you guys, and even leave the block behind for you to do hands-on for a little bit. But this Nutanix test drive thing takes that concept and all the things a lot further, and allows you to do it virtually, which sometimes that's the best fit for Nutanix and Citrix and the customer and XenTegra. So today we want to go into more detail on the test drive 2.0 announcement from .next. So we've got a blog pulled up here. Harvey, you want to kind of walk us through what the blog's covering and have Jirah myself chime in?
Yeah, so at a basic level, this is a blog announcing at the time Nutanix Test Drive 2.0. This particular post is from a while back, but we wanted to make sure that we covered talking about test drive, because we talked last episode about all of the wonderful things that came out of .next, and we had some feedback of, well, how does this matter to me? How can I do this? What does this look like? Those types of questions around getting a good feel for what things are and how they look. And so we wanted to make sure we talked about test drive. Test drive 2.0 was released earlier this year. So it is already ready for you to go in and actually experience things. And we've got the new release that's been out there now for the better part of the year, where you can actually go out and test out some of the software, some of the feature sets that we have, and all of the new announcements that are loaded out of .next will also be available out there. Jirah, you want to hit anything in particular on test drive?
Yeah, I think for sure that was fantastic. Some of maybe what we covered last week and what's going to be coming out of .next over the next couple of quarters, actually, probably. this is where it will hit in test drive. It might not all be there the exact moment you hear this, right? So it's a living environment, right? It always showcases a fantastic Nutanix experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So there will definitely be a drip of features there. I mean, again, this is a place for you to actually go out and take some of these features and things for a spin. This is going back. It's nutanix.com/test drive. That's simple enough to remember, right?
Yep. Even for me to think of at the end of a podcast to give it a shout out to. Nice and short.
So Harvey, you may have done this. What's the actual name of the blog in case someone wants to go look it up? And
yeah, so the blog is called Take Nutanix Test Drive 2.0 for a Spin.
And it's from February 2020.
Oh,
so
2020, yeah. So even older. I thought it was 2021.
It was, I mean, candidly, it was extremely fortunate to have launched this when we did, right? Kind of right before we started doing all of our test drives remotely, coincidentally. So the environment, really got very popular very quickly.
So what do I need in order to do this? I need a Nutanix customer login. What do I need?
You need a valid email address, I think, and probably not like a Gmail or Yahoo, I'm guessing. Just plug in your business email address, shows that you're a real person, and that's it. So Harvey, if you want to go ahead and click through there.
Yes, I will actually.
It will. Maybe don't share when you pull up your inbox, but that'll send you a link to log into the test drive environment.
So question for you two guys. I know you work a lot together. Examples of things you've seen our customers do with test drive. What have you seen them try and how did it work out? What was the feedback?
Yeah. The feedback is fantastic because you're looking at a real Nutanix environment. So it's a good way to, Harvey, I don't know if you can relate to this at all, right? As an SE, but like people say, we want to do a POC. And sometimes, not every time, what they really mean is I just want a place where I can sit with the software, play with it, push buttons, build stuff, break stuff, and just do hands-on learning, right? Not really prove, capital P, a concept, capital C, really just get some time with the solution, which is great. And this is honestly even faster than spinning up a real POC, right? It's available for you on demand, click a link, get an email, log in, and get 4 hours with a cluster that's just for your use.
Right.
So Andy, to your question about the what, I like how, we call it hands-on test drive because as a software solution, it's as hands-on as if we did ship out hardware to you, right? Like you're looking at the real bits and the real code. So when you connect in there, it's going to depend on circling back now with a very lengthy answer to your question. What do customers do in here? Anything, right? Like what are we talking about, right? Are we talking about our favorite topic of automation, right? And doing things faster and automating business processes? Are we talking about, just, hey, I need a better way to run my server VMs that takes less time out of my day to manage and administer? I need something that's like hybrid multi-cloud, right? How do I build VMs in different availability zones that match my business needs? How do I give my customers, database as a service, or update some legacy like file share solutions? All of that's in here.
Yeah. So in the time that we've been talking so far, I actually went out there, typed in my email address, got an email in return with a code in it, and then ta-da! I have access to test drive.
Boom.
So a very quick, very easy experience to get logged in. And I see my timer in front of me that started with 4 hours, and now I'm down to 3 hours and 58 minutes.
Oh man! So this podcast will have a finite end. It can't go on forever. This episode will be 4 hours or less, guaranteed.
That's right.
So yeah, it's so this is obviously this part you would never see on-prem, right? This is our test drive launching dashboard. But from here, right, you can hop into everything we've talked about. So give me the test drive, which we can go into. I want to talk about Era, right? Give me my database as a service solution. The Leap, right, is where I want my orchestrated disaster recovery to move my workloads, recover my workloads in a Nutanix availability zone, whether that's on-prem, in the cloud, hybrid, whatever you want. Unified storage, so help me manage and simplify my SMB shares, my S3 storage, my block storage, all that with one cluster. The mine with Haiku, right? Show me how I can use Nutanix as a backup platform with some awesome partner software to do data protection for my virtual machines. Flow, right, for VM microsegmentation. Clusters on AWS, clusters on Azure Test Drive, and then the COM Test Drive. So all the facets of what you can get to within the test drive itself.
Do you two have a specific story of a mutual customer that went from zero to very well informed by doing this, and what technology it was they did it on?
The one that jumps to my mind would be probably Flow, right? Easy way to hop in, instantly have running VMs and say, let's start building security policies to control what can talk to what else within the environment here.
Yeah, and I
seem to recall you guys on a previous podcast talking about.
No, go ahead.
I'd seem to recall you guys on a previous podcast talking about like a customer that really needed to ramp up on clusters on AWS, and just a short period of time, they went from not understanding it to, and excited about it.
Yeah, so that did happen, but that did not happen in test drive. It happened in actuality.
we did that one. We did that one together. We did that one as a live fire exercise. Right. But the cool thing about anything, cloud deployed, right? We built that cluster of Nutanix nodes in AWS about as quickly as Harvey got logged in here to the test drive environment.
Right.
So for sure, it's a good use case for either of those things.
Yeah. And I guess maybe in an ideal world, if you had more time, you'd have the customer go play with test drive, get acclimated, and then go do the real thing. And that's kind of an opportunity to get educated and a reinforcement, which is in the real world the best way to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. We would normally advocate that method. That particular customer was just ready and itching to get that in there, get it working with their software, the rest of what they had for their environment, and be able to replicate back and forth. And those are things that you can't just do in test drive because it's not built for that. But test drive is a great way for you to go in and take a look at the technology, be able to start using it, familiarize yourself with the layout, with the terminology, and be able to move forward like that. But it is not a place where you can connect it to your current on-prem or cloud infrastructure so that you can actually simulate moving workloads back and forth. And that's kind of what that customer wanted to do.
Yeah, that customer needed a rapid DR environment for their Citrix software, right? So a fantastic EUC partner that runs well in Nutanix. You're right, Harvey, right? Hard to say, I want to test drive, but I want to connect to it with my real on-prem infrastructure and send my images up there. You'd want something that won't self-destruct in 4 hours to do that.
Right.
But yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So Andy, I'll throw you one because you like to talk about this all the time. This is 4 hours of access. Is this a POC or a pilot?
Well, so it's certainly not a pilot, right? And I would probably go as far as to call it a sandboxed POC, virtual sandboxed POC, where it's outside the customer's live environment, which is where everything should start for sure. And in some cases, this kind of blends between what could be a demonstration that blends over into a POC, but definitely a POC. Like we define as XenTegra, a pilot is something that should be constructed as if it was a full production solution, or at least some form of it, and can roll into production. Harvey worked for a company before he came to join us, I think, where many years ago, like 15, I did a Citrix POC on a Friday and came in on a Monday, and they had acquired a company and put it into the POC, and I had, that thing went a decade before it finally got shut down, and I knew on Monday it was a problem.
Right.
But it works. Sure. They got through it, but still not the right way to do it.
Yeah, it's that reason we all get kind of nervous, right, when we hear, oh no, this is just temporary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
So, some things, like the more you say it's temporary, I've never seen things last longer in production, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Totally. Go ahead and connect here, Harvey, to the main environment there, the Nutanix test drive. Because one more thing to highlight, we don't have to go through every bit of this, is the fact that I like, of course, you're going to see real Prism here. You're going to see a real environment, but there is as much handholding as you want, which can be none.
I was just looking at that.
It could be none. If you're like, no, I know Nutanix, I just want to see this one new feature and click some buttons on that. But if we're throwing you in the deep end here, right, and we're like, here's all Nutanix, and you're like, wait, how do I spell that again? This can show you, what I think is more useful, not even the hand holding, but more like, here's a story, right? Here's a use case. Go learn how you would do this with that, configure this on that. Hey, do you want to play with no install DR? Do you want to play with a turnkey backup platform? And it will give you some pretty gentle guided, like, look, this is how you configure this. This is how you would enable that. It kind of gives you almost like a framework to do a little bit of learning within, right? And that's a good way to mention. This is also super useful for certification studying, right? This is a real environment. Hop in here. It's not my favorite kind of certification question, and I'll say, in my experience with Nutanix exams, we're pretty light on that. But like, pick from 4 similar options. What's this button labeled, on this part of the UI? And it's like, well, why do I need to memorize that, right? If I'm there in front of it, I would just click on the button in the console. But for that kind of stuff where it's like, you need to kind of know what the flow of an operation looks like, of course, get on a real Nutanix cluster and go play with that, right? So this is going to walk you through enabling flow. It gives you the click through, click here, click there. It's a really fantastic tool, I think. As you're going through all of these different, kind of use case stories, what I also love is this is a manned offering. So you can actually hit that chat button, say, hey, I'm looking at this, but I'm confused, or can this feature help me with this kind of a use? Throw your question in and we'll get back to you, right? Somebody will catch that, find the answer for you and respond. So it's not, you can be as left alone as you want to be in here, but you also can get as much help as you might want to get. Right.
And what's amazing to me is, in the time it took you to say that, here I am, step by step, it laid out for me, setting up Nutanix Flow.
Yeah.
And it is already there, people.
Bam. It's I love it because there's nothing to install. It's literally just a feature of, hey, you're running AOS, you're running AHV. Do you want to use this thing? Yes, no. But all the bits that you need for it are installed when you create the cluster.
Yeah, that's just amazing. And then you're able to just see the full interface, see all the prompts, see how everything's laid out, and just be able to do everything as if it was your own cluster, only it's not.
Yeah, right. You can click anything you want, and all your VMs are safe.
That's perfect.
So then if you go for that if you want to.
Yeah, I'm clicking all the buttons, right? That's what it's here for. Click all the buttons.
When you hop out of the main screen, we can give a quick read through of like what kind of talk tracks, what kind of example use cases do we highlight within here.
And guys, keep in mind, our listeners won't see all the magical clicks Harvey's doing here unless they go back and watch the video later. But certainly very much hands-on, and that's what's so interesting, right? We walk in with a physical block and say, hey, let's do all this together. It takes time, set it up. In this case, you just get to jump right in. And once you get over the theory that it's not yours where you can touch it, but it's virtually there, you get all the benefit out of it. And that's Nutanix at its best, software defined, and you never have to actually touch the stuff potentially.
Right.
We should talk, Andy, about since you bought your block, we've launched smaller physical form factors. So maybe something that would be even more compact, travel size. I can picture a demo cluster fitting in a backpack, right? Versus like a checked, hard shell case. Yeah. So the little on the NX line, we call them the 1120s. They're a 1U, short depth rack mount server, right? So a little bit bigger than like a workstation grade laptop.
Yeah, we would definitely like to have one. I'll send you my address. You can just
pretty much.
I'll send you all the ones I've got here at the house. They're in the mail already.
Nice.
At conferences, you guys used to have little cardboard single block with 4 little cardboard nodes in it that look like Nutanix nodes. I've always wanted to get a hold of one of those just for my office.
I've seen some 3D printed ones to help explain to a customer, what the physical layout looks like. I've seen some Lego versions. Yeah. Harvey, if you click on the quick links there at the bottom, that is kind of the one thing you won't see on-prem, right? This is the framework of the test drive environment. So there's the story we're going through right now, right? About enabling flow, categorizing VMs, creating policies to control that traffic. If you scroll down here about test driving other solutions there, right? Oh yeah, and quarantining, naughty VMs, infected VMs.
Naughty VMs.
Optional AOS deep dive, right? If you really want to go to the nth degree, of course, click through to that. But also VM application automation, right? So how do I deploy applications, create blueprints so that other people can then go consume them within there? I thought there were a couple of others as well. If you scroll to the top for me, I don't want to capture it in audio form. What else people can go play with, and then we set it up front at the beginning, right? So all of the unified file storage, simplified backup architectures, and then Era for like database as a service, all that good stuff. Disaster recovery automation.
Yeah, it's just, I would definitely recommend to anybody listening to this that you should definitely go out here to test drive and actually try it out. It is a very smooth user experience, much better than other potential ways that you could do this. And like Jirah said at the start, you can get as much help as you want to. You can actually go through the steps that they give you, or you can just click around, right? To experience what's in here, to see what's there, and go through the actual features and prompts and menu options to make sure that you understand what you're looking at, where you're going, those things.
So Harvey, let's talk real quick about why it's such a good experience and why you should take away what happens in test drive into what your Nutanix environment could and should be like. It's because it's a software-based company that the concept of doing software interfaces been always native because it was born that way. And the other is the fact that user experience, and by user, we're talking about administrator experience, has always been part of the concept at Nutanix because they were built from a day in time when user experience and their acceptance was really critical for adoption. It wasn't just brute force like some of the legacy players have had, which they've been enabled. They've then had to evolve into a user experience type of motion. Nutanix was born in that way.
Yeah, totally. It's the value of native web-based administration, running as HTML5, no heavy plugins required, so that, in this case, the authentication is a little bit different than what you'd use on-prem, but ultimately it's just putting Prism in your browser, right, which is built to be a good experience.
Absolutely.
So guys, what else do we need to cover about Test Drive 2.0 for our listeners?
I think that probably does a pretty good job covering it. So to bring it in for a landing, right? This is where, as the new stuff rolls out that was announced at .next, this is where you can go the easiest and fastest to get hands-on with it. Of course, if you don't want to do a more full-blown, hey, call up Andy, bring in the check bags and let's set up a real cluster.
Which, we're happy to do because that's value add that we add, but maybe somebody goes through test drive and then we bring the solution on premises in their environment to do it in a way that it's either sandboxed or not in another POC. And then we get even more serious and do it in a pilot if we have that kind of time, which you guys know as consultants, we don't always have that much time, but it is a great way to ramp up.
It's a series of logical steps. How about that?
For big decisions, for sure. Definitely need those. Well, guys, with that, we'll call this a podcast and we'll get this posted and look forward to doing another one next week.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Talk to y'all then.